In studio right now, I got to tell you, this has been a rough week. But this is not unique. Nicole Cozza, Gina Hobika, you guys are with Central New York's Milestones. You guys, and explain what it is that you do with people with issues, addiction, and tell us what it is that you guys do.
We have an outpatient clinic, which we serve substance abuse and mental health illness. And unfortunately, in 2010, we started medically assisted treatment due to the arise of the heroin problem. And today, obviously, it has grown into a huge epidemic.
Yeah. When you say huge epidemic, Gina, how bad is it? Now, I talk about this week being bad without getting into specifics and their privacy issues, but a lot of people were mourning this week.
6 overdoses.
6 overdoses this week.
Mm-hmm. We lost terrible. 6 lives.
Wow. So when we say it's an epidemic, and this is 6 lives to heroin?
To heroin.
Wow.
And the worst part about this is the family members know that their loved one is addicted to heroin, opiates, whatever the case may be. And the sense of helplessness is overwhelming. So to sit across a parent, a spouse, a brother, a sister, crying, saying, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That is the most heart-wrenching thing about this disease, and watching it literally tear a family apart.
And knowing you cannot be there every single second. Without incarceration, you can't be there every second.
That's exactly right. And sometimes, I'm going to just talk about parents specifically, will say, I never thought I would wish my child going to jail,
right,
but I know that they're safe. Mm-hmm. Or parents that have to prepare themselves each night and say, I'm waiting for the phone call.
Yeah. Andrew.
So I know that one of the big problems is the addiction aspect, but also, too, and this is not to say anything against local law enforcement, because I know that they've been doing a phenomenal job not only to help revive people in a lot of cases, but to combat the dealers. But where are we with trying to kind of figure out where these bad batches are coming from, where these major dealers are working out of? How's the progress there?
And by the way, bad batches, there is a story there in itself. That's
exactly right.
Yeah.
And with law enforcement, there's a lot of initiatives starting. The Angel Initiative, where people can come in, go into a local police station and say, I need help. Mm-hmm. So that's the great part about what our community is doing to come together. That's number one. Mm-hmm. The bad batches is laced with fentanyl, and I'll let Nicole speak on what's coming out now.
Yeah, there's a string of a new synthetic man-made. It's called pink, or other known as.
I saw this the other night.
Yeah, U47700. It's coming from China, and it has hit the U.S. There's a huge articles all over about this, and it is 7 times potent than heroin is.
Wow.
And like I said, the last time that I was on here, I saw an autopsy report on one person that had passed away, and the ratio between how much heroin was in it versus the fentanyl was 10 times the amount.
Wow.
So
we had there was a story, some community in somewhere. We had a story maybe 6 months ago about this community had, 25 overdoses over the course of a 48-hour period. We're here saying we have had, and this is basically, this is from your people that you treat, 6 this week. I mean, and that's an enormous number. If you take the whole region, our whole area, we're getting up there. That number is way too big.
yes.
Now people are starting to hear about it. It's being widespread because it's being covered.
Yeah.
It's affected our area for quite some time now. But now it's really starting to make its mark, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we talk every day about how many more people have to die before we can do something about this.
And what can we do? I mean, this is the is it all starting from back pain, injury, teeth, medicine.
Not all.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is. It's coming from different areas. So a large part of it is stomping out the stigma of addiction. That's number one. Number two, increasing awareness and education about it. Going into the schools, going into the local businesses, because how many businesses can you go into and you don't know who you're speaking to, whose family member is suffering from this disease.
Yeah.
And they might be too embarrassed to say something, or they don't know where to turn. So just putting out that information, doing the Narcan trainings, things of that nature, knowing that now there's programs where you can go that help you navigate through the system, whether it be insurance, Medicaid, things of that nature.
You talk about going to the schools. How young are you seeing some of these children being addicted and maybe using drugs?
12, 13.
Wow.
We've had some kids come in. Yes.
Oh, my God.
And some kids have come in and said, well, it's because I saw this in a medicine cabinet and I just took it. Other times I've seen kids that say, I just straight up tried heroin.
Yeah.
It didn't start with a pill.
7360186 if somebody wants to pipe in. And when we say this has been a bad week, you say that cases that you know of, it's 6 overdoses this week. Where is that in line? If this was a bar graph or a graph, what do we? Is it high this week? Is it just normal?
Well, I feel like we're hearing this on a daily basis now. If I know of 6, there has to be triple more,
Right.
especially in our area. I was looking up statistics from 2014 globally over the United States, and 47,000 individuals in 2014 died of a heroin overdose or opiate overdose. So I could guarantee you that when we get the statistics, probably in 2018 for 16, it will be triple.
Yeah. Tim is on now. Tim, you're on the radio.
Yes, good morning. I would like to say that I believe that we should decriminalize narcotics as they have done in some of the Western European countries. Now, that doesn't actually the rate of drug use and addiction is about the same as it is here. It hasn't. If you legalize or decriminalize, it doesn't mean you got the whole world all of a sudden wanting to use dope. It's about the same as it is here. But what it does is it benefits the whole of society. You don't have people committing crimes to get enough money to support their habit. You don't have that problem when you decriminalize it. And it's the same problem that we had during Prohibition, during alcohol Prohibition. It's organized crime flourished. The mafia got their foothold in this country because of Prohibition. And the war on drugs is the same schlemiel.
Listen, I really agree with you when it comes to the war on drugs and the decriminalization of a lot of these drugs. I totally agree. I do not think that, and I want you guys to talk about this issue has anything to do with that at all. This issue of heroin addiction. Talk to, I'm going to hang up, Tim, and let these guys comment on that. Who wants to take it? Gina?
I'll take the first part of it. I understand what you're saying, and I do agree to certain points of it. But what we're talking about is the senseless deaths. It isn't a result of the crimes that are being committed to get the substances. It's the actual substances themselves being, even if everything was legalized and you could get X, Y, and Z, there's always going to be someone that says, if I mix A with B, I'm going to get C, and you're going to get even higher. And let's try that. And that we're saying, how many people have to die?
You would have, let's say that pharmaceutical companies began to produce heroin. And you're taking the heroin that is produced by some company. What you're saying is it wouldn't be enough because there would be some underground group that's going to make it better because you're not getting the high that you did on the first time, and you're always trying to chase that high.
Well, you have people abusing cough syrup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my point right there.
Okay. Harry in New Hartford, you're on.
Yeah, Bill, specific to addiction through prescription medication, what I can't understand, I mean, I've had back surgeries, fusions, and hips replaced, and I want some medication, in that first couple of weeks especially, it's going to work. But that doesn't mean that it's not the doctor's responsibility to not go on prescribing to addiction. I've never felt addicted to any pill and I don't think there's any reason why people should have to be.
Can you talk? Are some people more prone to being addicted than others?
Well, I mean, I do agree. I do
'Cause
agree with the caller.
How does he not?
If he's taking as prescribed is one
Right,
thing. There's
right.
a lot of people that are have been taking medications for years and years and years, and their tolerance level, decreases where they need more, and that's where the addiction comes in.
Okay.
So if this individual on the phone is saying that he is prescribed his medication and takes it as the physician prescribed and he's okay, I understand that. There's a lot of people that...
Is he lucky, though, that...
Extremely.
Lucky.
Extremely lucky.
Because I have to tell you, I had a back problem. It was horrific. I had a hard time walking, but it went away. I've talked to people who've had these back problems that don't go away, and you have this excruciating pain. You can't sleep. So maybe I was lucky that my pain subsided. And I didn't need to keep going after medicine.
Imagine living in chronic pain.
Yeah.
You will do anything to relieve it.
Anything to relieve it, and even suicide. They say suicide is a big problem.
Absolutely. And we've had people come in with just these issues who need it for chronic pain.
Right.
And at some point...
And now we're pulling back, by the way, and we're not prescribing.
Right.
So
and
now
now they're
find...
forced to go out into the street and get something to substitute for this.
Tom in Utica, you're on the radio. 7360186.
We have, I think we've discussed this before about the English model, where if someone is addicted, this was tried in the past. That was a bad, and when there was a change of government over to the conservatives, but when one was, if one desired to, and could prove that they were addicted to heroin, they could come to clinics and receive specific, pure, pharmaceutical-grade heroin cigarettes that they would smoke instead of injecting themselves. And nothing's perfect, but this had a very high cure rate because people the addicts would soon grow tired of just being dopey, and they would get off it. There was lessened need for crime.
All right.
It took away some of the, I think we had a little bit of an argument with Manaski the last time I talked about this. It takes away the cops and robbers thrill.
And that's kind of what, and I'm gonna let them respond to this, Tom. But that's kind of what Tim was saying. We have a tough time looking at a model like that and saying, we're enabling, right? We can't do that. Is there something to be said for it?
It's about harm reduction.
Yeah.
That would be the main phrase that I would want everyone to hear walking away from this. Wouldn't you agree, Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some physicians talk about that in the past, and I don't think it's a crazy concept. Maybe down the road in the future that we would see something like that. Right now, we're offering, that's what medically assisted treatment is. I mean, we're offering a medication to get them off of the drug. Beacon Center just opened up their opiate treatment center. Milestone or Central New York Services is opening up another opiate treatment center in 2017 to offer various drugs like that.
Yeah, you hear stories all the time where someone gets out of treatment. The minute they get out, they go back for that original.
But, the one thing with every person who walks through the door and they say, I want help, they truly do mean it when they're saying it. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be sick, and that is why they go for medically assisted treatment to come off of it. Nobody wants to feel that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just using no longer to get high, but to function, to get up, to shower, to go to work, and that's what that is the goal of medically assisted treatment, is to get people weaned off safely.
And that kind of goes to your point about if it's not legal. I mean, if it's legalized at some point, maybe that's not. They're addicted to more than just the drug at that point. They're looking for the next more powerful thing or effective
That's exactly
drug.
right, because a lot of it, as all of us have core issues that we work on, we've learned coping skills throughout the years and to try to address these.
Hey,
if you start using it at a young age, those coping skills, you don't develop them.
Right. Colleen in Oneida. Hi, you're on.
We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed.
She sounds like a man to me.
I know.
Okay, so warning signs. We talked about this before. And by the way, don't go saying my kid would never happen. We're looking at there's really no picture of the perfect addict here.
There is no picture.
Yeah.
I would say some of the warning signs would be trusting your own instinct.
Yeah.
Someone, maybe if your child or family member was always very social and would come out and talk to you, and that they don't anymore, they're isolating, they have new friends. I mean, you have the common myths of money's missing,
Items missing in
Right.
your home. We talk about Narcan all the time. We talk about the importance of having that in your home.
Which,
or
by
on
the way,
your
that was
person.
criticized early on. Why are we spending this money on this? Well, it's because it's saving a life.
Yes.
And giving that person the chance, because they're somebody's kid.
Yes,
That's
We're dealing
it
with
is.
right.
It is a life
Giving
saver.
them that chance. It might not work. But it's giving them that chance to have another opportunity to maybe make it.
It's just like any other epidemic that this county or country has faced, and people have said, well, why do we do this as a preventative measure? It's the same thing.
Yeah. All right. So at Milestones, you guys are on Court Street. Anybody has any question, any fear, do you have a phone number?
Yes, I'm going to give them my cell phone number. It is 315-480-5860. We have the family support group every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. We also have the grief and loss support group. So anyone who has lost a child to addiction or a family member to addiction,
Right.
We do offer that service on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock as well.
All right. Nicole Cozza, Gina Hobika, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Got a break. We'll come back here.